Let me turn next to the Middle East. It seems that British impatience with Jewish settlers in the West Bank is beginning to bubble over. The Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, this afternoon announced sanctions against 3 Israeli outposts and 4 organisations he says have supported and perpetrated heinous abuses of human rights against Palestinian communities. And that follows the revelation, you heard it here earlier on, that the former Prime Minister David Cameron wanted to sanction and freeze the assets of 2 members of Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet he has described as extremists. I'm joined now by Lord David Hannay, Britain's former ambassador at the United Nations. Lord Hannay, great to have you on the show. Can I start by asking you about your reaction to the news that's just broken that the Americans have sent Israel a kind of ultimatum, let humanitarian aid into northern Gaza within 30 days or we will start to restrict the military support that we give you. It's quite a moment, isn't it?
I think it is, if it happens, and it's not before time, because the number of times on which Biden and Blinken and other senior American officials have said humanitarian aid has got to get through, and we've said it, and the French have said it, and everyone else, and Netanyahu has simply put up 2 fingers. That can't go on without diminishing any credibility whatsoever for the international community.
It is certainly very, very crucial that the Israelis start to listen. And they also appear to have pulled back from any suggestion, or they're promising they will not, in retaliation for those Iranian attacks, target Iranian oil or nuclear facilities. Again, your reaction to that, an important moment.
Well, promise, big word. Mr Netanyahu has said a lot of things in the past, and I don't think many of them qualify as promises. Let's see. But it would be good if he had said that, and if he does do that, actually abstains from hitting the nuclear and the oil targets, because that would mean a total extension of the war across a much wider swathe than the Middle East. And that would be bad news for everyone.
Let me turn, if I might, to the West Bank. We don't talk quite so much about the West Bank, but Israeli settlers have been, frankly, bullying and intimidating Palestinian communities there for some time. Are you pleased to hear the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, therefore, announce action against 3 outposts inside the West Bank and 4 organisations supporting them?
Yes, I am. Those outposts are illegal under international law. That's been demonstrated time and again by resolutions of the UN Security Council. And so pulling them up on this illegality, about time too.
And in a similar spirit, I suppose, you worked with David Cameron, you know David Cameron. Were you surprised when he said that he had plans to sanction 2 members of the Netanyahu cabinet, including Mr Ben-Gvir, who has become, as it were, the voice of the ultras in that government?
Well, I didn't work for David Cameron, actually. I had left the Foreign Office before he became Prime Minister or even Leader of the Opposition. But
my memory is fallible, I apologise.
I do respect him, and I saw him at the dispatch box in the House of Lords in the last 9 months, and I thought he handled issues very skillfully. And yes, I am delighted that he was contemplating bringing sanctions against these 2 people who utter absolutely unspeakable things, frankly. If they were actually carried out, there would be many, many hundreds, if not thousands, of deaths and abuses of human rights. So anything that we can do to make that a little bit less likely is, in my view, the right thing.
Mm-hmm. So far, David, as you've indicated, Israel has not really reacted much to world disapprobation, world condemnation. They've now banned the United Nations Secretary General, Mr Guterres, from coming into Israel, and they are behaving in a very hostile way to the UN generally. I'm just really interested in your reflections about the danger for Israel in carrying on in this path, the danger for Israel in becoming a state which is at total loggerheads with the United Nations.
Well, I think it's a pretty considerable danger, and I think it calls in question the credibility of Israel's membership of the United Nations. Don't forget that Israel as a state was first recognized by the United Nations back in 1948. And that was a very important step, because until then, there had been no state of Israel. And now all of us recognize the state of Israel, and we do so because we're members of the United Nations, among other reasons. So I think it is a bit of a risk for and you can argue, frankly, that a member of the United Nations, which Israel is, does not really have the right to forbid the Secretary General of that organization, who has certain duties under the Charter, to even come to their country to talk to them. I think that is shameful, and I think some of the language used by the Israeli ambassador to the UN disqualifies him from being considered a proper diplomat.
Is it possible, under the Charter, for a country to be expelled from the United Nations?
No, it isn't. That has never happened. There have been cases of apartheid South Africa when their membership was frozen, but never expulsion. I think the lesson of the League of Nations between the First World War and the Second World War was that the ability to come and go at will was not an advantage to the organization. You had Germany, you had Japan, who flounced out, and nothing happened. And so I think when the United Nations was set up in 1945, there was a strong view that there should not be a provision that enabled countries on their own to pop in and pop out.
Really interesting, Lord Hannay. I understand the situation much better than I did 5 or 6 minutes ago. Thank you so much.